Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about three bowl matchups spanning across December 19th through the 21st. If you're interested in getting updates of when we release these bowl pick videos, you can click that subscribe button. And also if you can click thumbs up, it's greatly appreciated, really helps us out. If you're looking for more content beyond just what we talk about in this particular video, especially not just in college football but across all major American sports, you can head over to stumpthespread.com and get our daily free play over there, as well as our premium pick content. Over at Stump the Spread, you can get our free plays through this free picks tab, as well as our premium picks, all major American sports that are in season right now, including the NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, as well as the NHL. For this video, again, just talking about three bowl games. In these bowl pick videos, we generally are going to keep them between about 3 to 6 bowl matchups per video, so a little bit shorter than what we did during the regular season, where we talk an entire week of matchups and have like 15 to 25 matchups per video, so a little bit more in depth in each of these particular matchups. And we're going to start with the Miami Beach Bowl between Central Michigan and Tulsa. A lot of people remember Central Michigan back during September. They put up some strong results. Their win on the road against Oklahoma State with that miraculous Hail Mary is what a lot of people remember this team for. Even though they shouldn't have gotten that play to begin with, it was nonetheless a solid result for Central Michigan as they went on to pick up that really impressive upset win. Unfortunately for Central Michigan, their best football was played back in the month of September. This team really trailed off once they went into MAC play, and this group does not bring a lot of momentum into bowl season. Central Michigan finished in the mid to lower tier of the MAC. They were playing over in the MAC West Division, which was tougher from top to bottom, so that's part of the reason why it was tougher for Central Michigan to find consistent wins. But nonetheless, this group really struggled at times. They've just been really inconsistent on both sides of the ball. They do bring in a veteran quarterback in Cooper Rush, who's had a pretty solid career over there at Central Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of interest he gets from the NFL in the offseason, going through the Combine and Senior Bowl, if he's invited to those particular things. But that's for him to focus on after this bowl game. He might be thinking about, his potential future as a pro football player, and he's going to prep for this one just like he always preps, but it could bring in an added level of, nervousness for him in this one as he tries to really prove himself at the highest level here against what is a pretty solid Tulsa squad. So coming into the year, we really liked Tulsa to have a bounce back year as a program and reach a bowl game. They surpassed even our expectations with how well they've been doing. So Tulsa, when they made the move over to the American Athletic Conference, they had a tough time out of the gate, and this is really the first year where they've been able to really show their potential as a program, and that's got to make the fans over there feel happy, just given how much losing that the program has gone in through recent years. Tulsa, coming into the year, we expected their pass game to be extremely elite, and although they did put up a lot of numbers through the air with Dane Evans under center as their veteran quarterback, as well as a number of solid weapons at the wide receiver spot, this group actually was just as good, if not better, on the ground, which was a surprise. And when you have that ability to be lethal both through the air and on the ground, you just become that much more difficult to defend and predict. So based on what the defense brings, Tulsa can really change up what they do. So if people are loading up the box against Tulsa, then they can really rip people through the air. And if they're defending and putting a lot more guys in the secondary to defend the pass, they can put up a lot of yardage on the ground, and that just makes this group that much more difficult to defend. And another reason why they have had quite a bit of success this year in the American Athletic Conference, which is a conference that often gets overlooked, but among the group of 5, we really rank the American Athletic Conference at the top, especially in terms of the upper to mid tier of that conference. Has just a lot of strong teams, and we expect that to play out in bowl season. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out for the American Athletic Conference, but we feel like a lot of their teams can have the ability to put up some pretty decent results here in bowl season. So this is a lot of points for Tulsa to be giving. We wish it was a little bit less, more in that 10-point range, but it has shifted away from 11 and gone up to 11.5 to 12. A lot of this has to do with the fact that Central Michigan really faded down the stretch, and they've been very inconsistent on both sides of the ball, while Tulsa really put up some solid results throughout American Athletic Conference play. We really like Tulsa to win this one straight up. This is a lot of points to give, but Tulsa will have the ability to score in that 40 to 50 point range, and if they're able to do that, covering a spread of this magnitude becomes doable. We don't love this game in terms of a lot of other value bets that we see across bowl season, but if we had to pick this one, Tulsa giving the points here is the way that we would side currently. Moving on to December 20th, we have the Boca Raton Bowl in Boca Raton, Florida, between Memphis and Western Kentucky. This is a must-watch game if you're a fan of offense. Both of these teams have the ability to really light up the scoreboard, and if this game wasn't played in the 40s or 50s, we'd be pretty surprised. Interestingly enough, both of these teams have similar stories. So Western Kentucky, they had Brandon Doughty last year, who was just a tremendous veteran quarterback who put up a lot of numbers, and Memphis had a veteran quarterback of their own with Paxton Lynch, who also led them to quite a bit of success. Both of these guys moving on this past offseason left both of these programs with people feeling like that they were probably going to take a step back this year, and that really hasn't been the case for either squad. Memphis bringing in Riley Ferguson, who's really been developing nicely and putting up some very strong numbers leading this strong Memphis attack, while Western Kentucky brings in transfer from South Florida with White, who's really been putting up a lot of numbers and developing throughout the regular season. Mike White, he was never able to, get a solid supporting cast over there at South Florida, but South Florida's been doing just fine without him, obviously. Really putting up some big numbers over there for the Bulls, but with Flowers under center. But White's really found his niche here at the Hilltoppers, and they went on to not only win their division in Conference USA this year, but also in the conference title game they went on to get past a really strong Louisiana Tech squad by double digits. Very impressive result for Western Kentucky. They did get that championship game on their home field, but nonetheless a strong win. Between these two teams, we actually feel like they're pretty comparable in terms of talent and the ability of what they've been able to do this year. And again, we do value the American Athletic Conference higher compared to the other conferences in the group of five. If Memphis was playing in Conference USA, they probably would have had similar success to what Western Kentucky was able to put up this season. And that's actually showing right now with the way this spread has been going. So Memphis came into this one as a full touchdown underdog, and it's actually shifted down quite a number of points to that 4 to 5 point range. We do feel like this game is going to be very competitive, and one that's probably going to be going back and forth between these two potent offenses. As a result, Memphis getting the points, it just feels like a pretty solid value bet, even though they aren't getting the full touchdown anymore. Getting the 4 to 5 points still feels like a really strong value bet here with the Tigers. All right, and moving on to the last bowl game that we're going to talk about in this video, and that's on December 21st, the San Diego Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. Between these two Western teams, we got BYU and Wyoming. BYU really ran through the gauntlet through the months of September and October, playing a lot of tough competition and even going really far on the road to places like, West Virginia and Michigan State. And actually, they also went on the road to a strong Mountain West team. They went on to play Boise State, and they came up just short in that one. But, BYU, they really just, again, ran through the gauntlet there through the first couple months of the regular season. They were able to split those games, going 4-4 overall. And then in the month of November, things got a lot more manageable for BYU, and they went on to run the table as a result against a much easier slate. Unfortunately for BYU, their starting quarterback, Taysom Hill, is out. And for those that don't know Taysom Hill, he's pretty much like a Tim Tebow clone with what he's able to do on the ground. Not quite as accurate through the air, but still able to do some decent things through the air. Unfortunately for BYU, he's going to be out, and that's just been the case with him throughout his career. The fact that he loves running the ball and really punishing opposing defenses has left him susceptible to getting injured, and that's just been the case on a consistent basis for him. He's going to be out for this one, but fortunately for BYU, they do have a strong backup quarterback option with Tanner Mangum, who was in a QB competition with Taysom Hill back in the month of August. And Mangum has had a number of starts throughout his BYU career. He's more of a one-dimensional guy, however, a pocket passer. He's a better thrower, I'd say, than Taysom Hill, but not able to do quite as much given the fact that he's not a lethal dual-threat guy like Hill, what he brought to the table. Interestingly, this spread has actually shifted the opposite way of what people would expect with a starting quarterback being out, as BYU started as 7.5 point favorites, and now it's up to 8.5 to 9 points. What this tells us is that a lot of people are valuing Mangum as the backup quarterback over there for BYU and think that he can do just as well, if not better, than what Hill would have been able to do. I kind of disagree with that, however. This Wyoming defense, they're adequate, but, you know, I wouldn't have all that much confidence in Wyoming's defense going against a dual threat guy like Taysom Hill. With this Wyoming defense, they have had their issues against teams that do things, differently. Like, for instance, against New Mexico, they really had a tough time stopping that triple option attack in what's a more unconventional offense in college football. And when you bring a dual threat quarterback into the equation, I think that this Wyoming squad would have had a tough time adapting to that. But now going against a more traditional style quarterback, this Wyoming team has the ability to kind of focus more on a easier game plan to go against, and we have seen that, like, for instance, in their conference title game against San Diego State, they were able to hold the Aztecs to under 30 points, and that's a San Diego State squad that also brings more of a traditional style to the table. Even with a really strong running back over there at San Diego State, Wyoming was able to find some decent success defensively. I do remember earlier in the year, I watched a Wyoming game where they were going against a dual threat quarterback, Utah State, Chucky Keaton, or not Chucky Keaton, excuse me, that's the old Utah State quarterback, Kent Myers, the current one, and he was just able to really do a lot of things to this Wyoming defense in bunches, not just on the ground but also through the air. And I think just going against a more traditional style quarterback is just going to work out really well for Wyoming here and give them at least a chance to compete. And then not just on the defense side of the ball, Wyoming, they probably bring a better offense into this one than people are thinking. So Wyoming, they have a really strong ground game, and they have the ability to put up some decent numbers through the air. Their ground game is led by Brian Hill, who's one of the best running backs in all of the group of five. He's put up some pretty big numbers this year. And then also their pass game, led by quarterback Josh Allen, who's been developing quite nicely. He has all the tools to be an elite quarterback and even be an NFL prospect here if he continues to progress in the offseason and in the coming years. He's just a sophomore right now, and right now he's working on things like his footwork, his consistency, his accuracy. But when he's on point, it really doesn't get much better than this guy in terms of quarterbacks in the Group of Five conferences. He's been putting up some pretty strong numbers this year, and he continues to develop, and he's going to be looking to put up some strong results in this bowl game as Wyoming looks to kind of build on some positive momentum, not just what they were able to do in the regular season, but hopefully for them, or for their situation, get that win going into the offseason as they continue to try to build their program going forward after having quite a number of years of consistent losing. It's been nice seeing this Wyoming program get back into the good graces over there in the Mountain West Conference. We do expect this game to be a bit more competitive than what Vegas seems to think it will be. Wyoming has more than enough ability, not just on the offense side of the ball, but also with their defense going against this BYU attack under a new quarterback here to potentially push for the upset and getting the well over touchdown. We feel like Wyoming has pretty decent betting value here in the San Diego Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. All right, guys, so that's pretty much going to wrap things up for what we wanted to cover in our second bowl series pick video. Again, if you're interested in getting more of these bowl pick videos, you can click that subscribe button, and you can also visit our channel. We have daily college basketball picks if that's something you're interested in. And you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by clicking this logo in the top right-hand corner if you're on desktop, and I'll also link it in the description. And you can get our daily free play as well as our premium picks over there. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you in the next college football bowl pick video. Bye.